Hello, everybody, and welcome to our. Is this our penultimate? No, because we still have one more.
We have the Running Man.
This is our penultimate episode of the Year of King. I'm your quasi host, John, here with the other voice you heard as Celeste, as she so oftenly describes herself in such said tones. Squid is not with us because church let out very late today for me, and so I destroyed our schedule. Sorry, Squid.
It's okay. It's our fault for scheduling it on a day when we had a time crunch.
Yeah. Welcome to the life of a podcaster, everybody, where you make poor decisions trying to entertain people who don't know you. But that aside, hello and welcome to We Read Allegedly, the place where we claim to read books on occasion. And what are we reading this every other? I mean, we're reading The Shining, everybody. I can't think of a clever way to segue into the actual content for this, so we're reading The Shining by Stephen King. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books, and in talking to Squid and Celeste over the last month of reading this, I think I'm the only one of us that is amongst one of their favorite Stephen King books.
It is definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, Squid didn't seem to be enjoying it much either.
Squid is burnt out on King, I think.
I think so too. But this one was paced like, okay, we're just going to dive in. We're just going to dive into the book, everybody, because there is no talk or there is no spoiler free, because this book is paced in such a way that you have to dive into the meat of it. Otherwise, you're just going to get a lot of moody shots, just like the Stanley Kubrick movie. So yeah, let's talk about pacing of this book. This, like typical Stephen King, is usually a little slow to begin with because he likes to build character. This one is slower than his normal affair, and
I didn't find it that slow.
Okay,
but maybe it's because I was angry at it.
Okay, tell me about it.
I have notes.
Right now I'm just floundering, so let's just
I have actual notes. I wrote down thoughts as I was listening to it. And in chapter 1, this is when I went, oh, this is gonna make me mad, isn't it? Because for reference, my concept of The Shining is I have seen that scene where what's-his-face shoves his face through the door.
Oh, Jack Nicholson. The Here's Johnny scene.
Yeah, I've seen that. That is my knowledge of The Shining.
Oh.
That scene. So I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew it was a King book. And I knew that someone went nuts, clearly. Which apparently that line's not even in the book. At least I didn't hear it.
No, that was purely the Stanley Kubrick movie. Because I think when Stephen King wrote this, I don't think Johnny Carson was either on the air or as big as he was when the Kubrick film was made. So, are you turning to our undocumented fourth co-host Google to find an answer for that?
I was not, but I can.
Oh, no. It's just you look down like you're about to start typing. So
I got a text. So I was checking to make sure it wasn't something I needed to answer.
That's fair.
Because, again, this is a day where we have things going on, and I'm like, is that something I need to handle?
Right.
Okay.
Too many fires to be put out.
Right. So chapter 1.
If we're going to do this chapter by chapter, we're going to be here for a while.
No. I only have notes for chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 16, and chapter 20.
All right.
Because it was just as I was thinking about things.
Okay, that's fair.
And so sometimes I was just listening and vibing. It was a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I was having thoughts, and so when I did, I wrote them down. But chapter 1, the quote I pulled says, "He's a very self-reliant for a 5-year-old," and it's when Jack, the dad, was getting a job interview to take care of this hotel.
The Overlook, yeah.
Yeah, and my comment is, "Tell me you've been abused. Tell me your kid has been abused without telling me your kid's been abused." And I felt very justified in that when I realized later that he had in fact been abused.
Yes.
So, trigger warning on this entire book for domestic abuse.
Mm. Yes, yes, there is abuse in here, but I will say it is in service of a greater message.
I'm not saying that it isn't part of a needed part of the story.
Mm.
I'm just saying if that is something you struggle with and can't handle, this is not the book for you
Oh, for sure.
because it is very predominant.
Yeah.
Even like the I was uh oh, I do have a note for chapter 15. Cuz in chapter 15 I literally wrote this guy is a walking red flag.
I remember you sending that note to the chat, our little group chat we have on the Discord.
Like just everything about him is a red flag. And I get that like he had issues and
All right, let's back it up for the listener who hasn't actually read the book, because I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm following, but you're like talking in
I'm jumping
understood
around.
language that people might not know. So this book is about a man named Jack Torrance,
Mhm.
who is a recovering alcoholic who gets a job bringing his family up to this secluded hotel that shuts down in the wintertime. And it's a story about isolation and the loss of sanity, basically. All right,
Basically.
all right.
And it
So
and it
just that's.
definitely
Go ahead. Sorry.
it definitely plays with the fact that there were already issues.
Yes.
Like a healthier person, a mentally healthier person would not have been as susceptible.
Now I will say that as the book goes along, we do come to find that both Jack and his wife, Wendy, uh, they both have issues with how they were raised that plays
Mhm.
into how their characters all are. Every character in this book is completely flawed. Like there is the only picture of a pure character in this book is their son Danny Torrance,
And
who
that's his
has
life.
who has telepathy. And yeah, so he's the child of the two deeply flawed parents. So um
Which means that he's gonna end up messed up.
right. This book is very much a flawed character study, and if you're not willing to go along with the ride of watching two very flawed characters try to assert themselves over a puritanical character, um, you're gonna have a bad time, I guess. Um, the tone of this book is very different than most Stephen King books, I think. Um, in as much as the location is irregular for Stephen King, is typically Stephen King's usually doing a small town in Maine or
Yeah.
Massachusetts, whereas this is a solitary building in the wilds of Colorado. So the whole book in and of itself really feels like a departure from King's typical writing, at least from my perspective.
Well, and at the same time, the way he wrote, I can't remember the kid's name.
Danny.
Doc. Danny. Um, the way he wrote Danny, I'm going, I wonder if he wrote this near the time that he wrote Firestarter.
It wouldn't surprise me. The
Because
the timing sounds about right.
because he's very much like a male version of Charlie.
I haven't read Firestarter, so I'll take your word for it.
I liked Firestarter
Mm-hmm.
because it was just enough into the sci-fi
Mm-hmm.
aspect and not so much into the supernatural. Because that's my jam. I prefer if it's gonna be scary, I prefer it to be sci-fi. I prefer it to
Okay.
be something I can explain.
Okay.
Um,
So have
but
you read Carrie then?
no.
Okay. I would be interested in what you would think about Carrie outside of the abusive parent. I think that might be an issue for you, but Hmm. This is one of those books where I would be interested to see how you would receive it, but I could also see you not receiving it very well at all.
Well, considering that this book multiple times made me want to call CPS,
Okay, yeah, don't read Carrie then.
I
Um,
definitely had issues with the fact that she didn't leave him.
well, she wasn't in a good headspace either. The only difference between Wendy Torrance and Danny and Jack is Wendy didn't shine. Jack had the shining, he just didn't know it. That's the reason why the hotel could talk to him. Um,
See, I took that opposite. I took it as she had it a little bit and Jack didn't,
hmm,
which is why it went after him because he was just mentally unstable enough that it could push him over the edge and
hmm,
control him. The shine, for those who haven't read the book, is this book's way of saying telepathic.
hmm. As presented by Doc Holleran, not Doc Holleran. Yeah, Doc, not Doc. Doc is
No,
Danny's nickname. Um,
yes, Dan.
Holleran?
Ron?
No,
What is his name? Okay, now I
it,
am going to go Google.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It's gonna drive me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy that worked there
Yeah, yeah,
whose
yeah, yeah.
light
The guy
Danny blew out.
who officially called it the shine.
Yeah, I can see him in both the movies that I've seen, or rather the movie and the TV made for TV series. While we're waiting,
Dick
every
Halloran.
Deke
Dick Halloran.
Dick
Richard
Holleran.
Halloran.
Okay, yeah, that's the ticket. All right, but yeah, there are two cinematic portrayals of this book that are out there for your consumption.
Three, I
There is
think.
what's that?
I think there's three.
I'm only aware of two.
Okay.
I know there's three for Salem's Lot. Um, but the only two I'm aware of is the 1970 something Stanley Kubrick film that had Jack Nicholson and uh, Duvall. What's her name? Um,
Mm. Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. Thank you. And then in like I think it was 2000, no, it was 1997. They made another made for TV miniseries with Melissa De Marais and Andrew Webb, which was a lot more closer to the actual content of the book itself.
So I was talking to my dad about this while I was in the middle of it.
Hmm.
And he agrees with you that the Kubert movie is not the best.
It's not. I don't even really like it, to be perfectly honest, because the way that Jack Nicholson portrays Danny Torrance, I'm sorry this is turning into a movie podcast, everybody. I'm in the process of trying to resurrect the bottom shelf as well, so I'm super movie minded at the moment. But the way that Jack Nicholson portrays Jack Torrance, he almost comes across as being completely uncaring towards Danny Torrance
Mm.
for the whole film. Whereas, in my opinion, Andrew Webb does a good job of trying to establish the loving father relationship prior to the insanity setting in.
See, and I will say this about Stephen King. It makes me want to check on his wife because he writes the abusive husband games
Mm-hmm.
very well. Oh, I'm so sorry. I love you. I won't do it again. And then flying off the handle, the living on eggshells, all of that is like, even when he's being, like you said, the loving parent, he's
Mm-hmm.
still a walking red flag.
Oh, I don't doubt it, and that's not me trying to. Um, that's not necessarily me trying to give grace to this character so much as um, it for me when Andrew Webb did it so well in the miniseries, it created that contrast in the book of
Mhm.
I don't some people have never been around an alcoholic before to be able to see the two personalities of the alcoholic. Um, and for me, I feel like Andrew Webb's portrayal of Jack Torrance just kind of fit that better
Mhm.
with the two personalities of the alcoholic. And I feel like it is also demonstrated a lot better in the book than it is the Stanley Kubrick film. Um,
I've not seen the films, and honestly, I probably won't because
yeah, it doesn't seem like it's your bag.
well, and there's just I can handle some scary stuff when I'm reading that
Hmm.
I can't handle when I'm watching, if that
That's
makes
fair enough.
sense.
Because you really, when you're reading in the theater of the mind, you can kind of determine how scary it looks when you're looking at it versus, you know,
Right, right, right.
when it's just
And
thrown up
so
in front
well,
of you.
and then I also have the ability to I'm doing other things, so if it gets a bit too intense, I can
Tune out,
tune out a little bit and then go back in. So,
right?
but like I I have mixed feelings about this because it was a well done book.
Hmm.
Like it was very well written. I would not have chosen to read it,
So what?
but
This is another one of those Schaefer books where it's a well written book that you didn't enjoy.
I did enjoy parts of it.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy Jack.
You're
And
not
I
supposed I don't think you're supposed to enjoy Jack. I think Jack is supposed to be the tragic character of this book that you want to see things go right by him because things have been so wrong. But in the same sense, you know that things are never going to go right for him because he's constantly standing in his own way.
see if we could have done away with the adults in this book except for Hellrand, would have been great. I love Danny.
you, you you
Like
you didn't like
the
Wendy either, huh?
no, because she let her own issues get in the way, and that's a personal bias
Mm,
because clearly her husband is not a good person and she is letting the things from her past dictate her future, and she's not, and this is what gets me, she's not removing her child from a dangerous situation.
mm,
Even before they went to the hotel, there should have been a we're gonna separate for a bit while you get clean.
mhm,
Like Danny did not need to be, they talked about there was a time frame where they were both unsure of if they were going to stay in the marriage or not.
right.
And it was tense. There wasn't a lot of conversation. Like dinner was nothing more than pass the peas, pass the potatoes type thing. That is not a safe environment.
Mhm,
And so, in my opinion, she should have gone, we're not divorcing, but I need you to not be drunk. So I'm going to step back and let you heal and then come back in. But I'm also looking at this from 2025, not 1975.
right. Right. This
So,
story is about 50 years old, so culture has shifted. At the time, the idea of even going to Alcoholics Anonymous, which Jack Torrance does in this book, was
does
still
he?
yeah. He's a AA member. He has a sponsor. Um,
I thought it was just him and that guy because I have a theory. And it's
that
partially because I read the synopsis of another book,
mm,
but I have a theory about the book. But anyway, um, I didn't take that as they went to AA. I took that as they both decided to get clean
oh,
and helped each other.
no, he goes to AA.
Okay.
It's not a big thing in the book. He talks about it once or twice, so it might have just. But he has a sponsor. He went to AA for a while. Like so, he was trying to get clean. Like he was
Mhm.
doing it.
Right.
But
And
to get
kudos
to get
to
back
him.
to get back to what I was saying though, back in the 70s, even going to AA was a bit of a taboo because it
Right.
was the whole mindset back then was pull yourself up by your bootstraps, be the man, you can do it, take
Right.
control of your life. And so that was kind of the mindset that was probably being written from for Jack in these circumstances.
Well, and it's not an uncommon story.
Hmm.
which I think is why it infuriates me and what makes me dislike Winnie.
That's fair. Um, I do know in growing up that going to therapy hasn't been socially accepted
Oh, yeah.
until like 2005. Prior to that, even in the 90s, you still you still called a therapist a shrink, and people who went to see them were either crazy or weak.
Right.
So let this be a lesson, everybody out there. If you feel like you need therapy, go seek therapy. This is not my spiritual application. This is just a life application. If you can learn anything from this book, it's okay to need help, and it's okay to get help.
And
So
if you or your children are not in a safe environment, leave the safe environment, the not safe environment, to find a safe environment.
yes. It's funny how we've been talking about this book for 20 minutes and really haven't said anything about it at all.
It's because the parts that stood out to me are the parts that aren't necessarily a big part of the story.
That's fair. And then the parts that stood out to me aren't necessarily the parts you want to spoil on the podcast, because I want to be like, hey, what about blur? Um, I will say for the listeners out there, the overall tone and feel of this book is very menacing and dreary. So
Mhm.
you have to be into a book with a constant sense of foreboding doom, not necessarily. And I think that's the biggest tone shift is there isn't necessarily something that you're afraid of in this book. It's just an overall sense of dread that permeates the
It's
book altogether.
you go into this book and you're like, "Oh, life sucks."
Yeah, this book is very much, I think, what Stephen King was trying to really do, and this is just me asserting my thoughts into this, but really, and if you've ever met an alcoholic in your life, I think that you'll be able to relate to it on this level. But this I think that this book really captures the feeling of what it's like to live with an abusive alcoholic. I think that's the overall tone of the entire book. Some days are better, some days are a lot worse, but there's always that feeling of dread and doom that's looming over the circumstance.
Mhm. So, I would agree. As far as the supernatural stuff, like, I actually didn't mind that
Hmm.
because it was not the worst part of it to me.
No, the supernatural stuff was more there to I think, to enhance that feeling of dread and doom, and I think to
Mhm.
kind of flesh out the story even more than just an alcoholic going insane in a secluded area.
Well, and
Uh,
then also to give us a reason as to why the alcoholic's not chasing down his wife and child later.
right. That too. So, but really, the supernatural stuff is more of a MacGuffin in this book. It's there to make the plot happen, but it doesn't necessarily affect the overall storyline.
Right. Like this could have taken place anywhere.
Right.
So the only thing that was different was poor Danny is being even more traumatized
Yeah.
by things he's seeing.
Right. I mean, that's kind of a horror writing trick, and I used that back in the playing games of strangers days, where if
Mhm.
you really want to make an audience care, uh, threaten a piece of innocence, and that's going to cause immediate engagement, because
Right.
people have a natural inclination to try to defend children or the defenseless. So
All I'm saying is that if I didn't know that there was a sequel that focused on the son, I might have put the book down because I was scared for him.
don't read it. You'll be sad about how Danny turns out.
Oh,
He doesn't turn
okay.
out to be a great adult.
Well, I mean, he didn't have a great example, so
This is fair, but he only had that example up until he was 5. So
you know, it's amazing
minor spoiler
what
to people.
It's amazing what can influence a child at a young age
That's
and
fair.
the damage and the repercussions that can happen. So, this has been Psychology with We Read Allegedly.
Seriously, the psychological breakdown of this book would be amazing. Like, part of me wishes we could have had Damara on the show.
Damara wouldn't read it.
Oh, yeah, but to hear her break down the psychology behind it, especially with her history working in addiction psychology.
And that's why Damara wouldn't read it, because it would read like work.
Oh, well, fine.
And
Take all
so
the fun
there's
out of this for me.
I think the only movie or book that I've ever been like, you should watch this. And she's like, oh, I did. Um, that deals with like mental health stuff is Split. And that's because James McAvoy did such a fantastic job of portraying schizophrenia.
Mm, yeah. Uh,
Or not schizophrenia, DID.
yeah, dissociative identity disorder. Yeah, she got that. She got pretty excited when she was on the the Gundam podcast when we were talking about I can't remember her name, but that lady that was in Gundam Wing that was exhibiting examples of DID.
She likes things that are done well,
Yeah,
but at the same time, she doesn't necessarily want to watch it or read it
that's
because
fair.
it feels like work.
That's fair. I can dig it.
So, but yeah, it's like it was a well written book, but it definitely is not one that I'd necessarily pick up again.
Hmm. Would you say you're glad you read it? Because that's really going to be the definition of, is this
Eh,
recommendable?
I'm in the sense that I know that it's your favorite,
No, no, no,
yes.
no, 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 no. No.
Oh, just for my own
Mm.
purposes?
Mm-hmm.
No.
All right. Because
Sorry.
no, it's fine. I'm totally. Here's the thing. I have come to terms with the fact that I have different tastes than you and Squid, and that's
Yes.
okay.
That's part of
Because
what makes this podcast so interesting.
I know I'm the tomato in the fruit salad. Everybody.
I'm not sure what I am, but let's not get into that.
All right. Well, do we have any spiritual applications or
I do actually.
okay?
So, do you?
I don't. I had the general life application of get help if you need help. It's okay.
That's fair. So, my spiritual speculation is in the book, the dad's character eventually gets to a point of where he is not acting even for his self in character.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes clear that the other entity in the hotel has taken over him.
Mm-hmm.
And when he says something um, to Hellerand after he comes back, and she's like, Jack died and because that thing killed him. And earlier in I binged the last 4 hours. So earlier within that segment of my re-listening, um, Danny was talking to him and he goes, "You're not my dad. You're a false face. You're a mask." And it just made me think about how we have to know God's voice.
Mm.
Because if we don't know his voice, then when we hear something that sounds good, sounds like it might be God, sounds like a great idea, then we're going to be fooled and lured away. So having to know God's voice, know when it's him and when it's not, and when it's, just some crackhead with who should check the boiler.
And let that be another life lesson to everybody that you can take from this book. If you have a boiler in your house, always make sure that your pressure is within an acceptable range.
Also, apparently, just for the general public knowledge, hush puppies are also shoes.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Mm-mm. Hush puppies, where I come from, are are bits of seasoned cornbread that gets fried that you eat with fish. And
Okay.
somebody said something about putting hush puppies on their feet, and I had a moment
this
because I'm
has
like,
been
why would you do that?
this has been learning northern terminology with Celeste.
So,
So
okay.
that being said, what did you think about the Shining, dear listener? Did you enjoy it? Did you dislike it? Have you even read it? Are you like Celeste and all you know is the "Here's Johnny" scene from the Jack Nicholson movie? Let's talk about it. Show up on our Geek Devotions Discord or on the Face Spaces. We have a Geek Devotions Facebook and a Devoted Geeks channel on the Face Space where you can hang out with other devoted geeks like yourself, or check out geekdevotions.com where you can find out about other shows on the Geek Devotions Network, like the
Like calm
Gundam.
talk.
Oh, sure, like Com Talk. I was gonna say the Gundam, but okay, we'll go with Com Talk then, because the
The
Gundam
Gundam Watch
podcast.
is also there.
Yeah, the Gundam Watch is there, but I mean, it's been a hot minute, so. But yes, Com Talk, where Celeste and Dallas talk about stuff.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Used to be a weekly show. I'm just saying.
It was a weekly, then it went to a bi-weekly, then it went to a
Oh my God, I'm
when we
busy.
have time. What'd you say?
They went from weekly to bi-weekly to oh my God, we're busy.
Yes. Yes, that's the enemy of podcasting is having an outside life.
The enemy of podcasting is real life. Yes, I agree with this. That's why
So,
I am a podcaster for life. No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, with that being said, thanks everybody for listening. Love and peace. And Celeste, do you have anything else to say?
so long and thanks for all the fish. Bye-bye!
They're
It's
hard to
not
explain.
important to the
It,
podcast.
it, it, it doesn't matter. This is not we cook allegedly. This is we read allegedly. So